All right, Saagar, what's on your radar?
Vice President Joe Biden had a full-scale meltdown during his No Malarkey tour in Iowa yesterday afternoon. For those who missed it, when a self-professed fan of Elizabeth Warren dared to ask him about his son's dealings in Ukraine, there are a few words to describe this exchange. Let's just watch it in its entirety.
But you, on the other hand, sent your son over there, get a job and work for a gas company that you had no experience with, absolutely nothing, in order to get access to the public, for the president. So you're selling access to the president just like he is. So
You're a damn liar, man. That's not true. And no one has ever said that. No one has heard that.
I see it on the TV.
You see it on the TV. No, I know you do. And by the way, that's why I'm not sedentary. I get up and no, let him go. Let him go. Look, the reason I'm running is because I've been around a long time and I know more than most people know. And I can get things done. That's why I'm running. And you want to check my shape line, let's do push-ups together here, man. Let's run. Let's do whatever you want to do. Let's take the 19 steps. Number two, no one has said my son has done anything wrong, and I did not on any occasion. And no one has ever said it. Not
I
one.
didn't say you were doing anything wrong.
You said I set up my son to work in an oil company. Isn't that what you said? Get your words straight, Jack.
That's what I hear on MSNBC.
You don't hear that in MSNBC. You did not hear that at all. What you heard, look, okay, I'm not going to get in an argument with you, man.
Well, I don't want to.
Well, yeah, you do, but look, here's the deal. Here's the deal.
It looks like you don't have any more back home in trouble.
Any other questions?
There is so much to unpack there. Biden calling the voter a damn liar for telling the truth about his son's relationship to Ukraine. Biden challenging the man to a push-up contest, and then saying, quote, "Look, fat," when he addressed his portly adversary. So to make matters even more hilarious, Biden's senior advisor, Simone Sanders, tried to clean up his mess after the event, saying, quote, "Any assertion Vice President Biden said a word about the gentleman's appearance is making this something it is not." In the latter part of the exchange, the VP began to say, "Look, facts," and then said, "Here's the deal." If you've been to a Biden event before, you've heard this. Let's unpack that. First, it's hilarious that their excuse isn't that Biden was fat-shaming his critic, but instead is so incapable of forming sentences that all we did was mishear his intent. And I guess it's not a very implausible explanation. But further, if you catch that clip, it's extremely clear. Biden glances at the voter's weight, challenges him to a push-up contest, and a lot more. The truth is, former Vice President Joe Biden absolutely will not stand for any questioning whatsoever of his son's past business dealings with Ukraine. In that clip, you again heard him say that his son had done absolutely nothing wrong, even though Hunter himself told ABC in an interview that he exhibited poor judgment and that in many ways it was a swamp-type thing to do to sit on a Ukrainian energy company board. Let's take a listen.
Look, I think that it was poor judgment on my part. I think that it was poor judgment because I don't believe now, when I look back on it, I know that did nothing wrong at all. However, was it poor judgment to be in the middle of something that is it's a swamp in many ways? Yeah, and so I take full responsibility for that. Did I do anything improper? No, not in any way whatsoever. I joined a board. I served honorably. I focused on corporate governance. I didn't have any discussions with my father before or after I joined the board as it related to it, other than that brief exchange that we had.
Served honorably. Biden's unhinged response underscores how much of a disservice the media and his own opponents have done the American people throughout this primary process. That Iowa voter very mildly questioned Biden about his business dealings, and he began to fall apart with just a little bit of pushback. Why hasn't a single news organization actually pressed Biden during one of the last 4 Democratic debates about his son's business dealings, instead of just giving the former vice president an opportunity to say that his son did nothing wrong, check his notes to say whatever he's supposed to say about beating Trump like a drum? So every single Democratic candidate has refused to touch this issue on the debate stage, despite it being clear evidence of corruption. The closest that anyone has come to Andrew Yang is with his declaration that anyone who served in an administration wouldn't be allowed to serve on a domestic or a foreign board. But he hasn't called him out on the debate stage for it. Biden is riding through one of the softest primary processes in modern memory. And the funny part is, we all know exactly how this is going to go in the general election. Trump has made no secret of the fact that Hunter is going to play a very central role in the story of the 2020 Democratic race if Biden is the nominee. Just look at this from a recent rally of his.
Despite knowing absolutely nothing about energy, what business are you in, sir? The mailbox business? Oh, bail bond. Whoa, that's good. Do you know Hunter Biden? Do you know Sleepy Joe? Bail bond.
If Joe Biden can't take an elderly Iowan Elizabeth Warren supporter, he has no business trying to go into the general election. As Farhad Manjoo put it, we were promised no malarkey, but it looks like that's all we're going to get.
Oh my God,
and I had so many. It's just so funny. You watch. Biden, he just literally has a complete meltdown, and this is indicative of the entire primary so far, which is that Elizabeth Warren refuses to hit Joe Biden on Hunter Biden. Even Bernie hasn't said a word about Joe Biden's son. Yang has come the closest by saying, no, I wouldn't allow that in my administration.
Yeah.
But nobody's attacking him for it, and they should.
Bernie said that same thing, but, but the honest truth is, the media and the Democratic establishment and so much of the base are invested in this idea that saying anything about Hunter is like a Kremlin talking point.
Right.
How much did you see that on Twitter yesterday?
Yep,
oh, this man is spouting Kremlin talking points. He's a Russian.
It's Elizabeth Warren supporter.
Insane.
Yeah.
But they're so invested in that narrative that if you did question him on it, you would get a massive backlash. Honestly, it's so funny because we've been talking about how there are 0 Joe Biden supporters online. Like, you can't find them out. Yesterday, when I posted about this, it was the first time that there was like support in favor of Joe Biden. People liked that he was like a jerk to this guy and looked strong, because the reality is, even as they talk about, oh, we need to be nice and civil and we got to come together. No, people actually want someone who's going to be a little tough and mean and be able to go back at Donald Trump. Right. The problem is that if you are going so over the top, not just at this guy, but remember the immigrant protester who was like, fine, then just go vote for Trump.
Who questions him.
Somebody just questioned him about climate change, same deal, then go vote for Bernie Sanders. He's so easily angry and triggered that it's just way over the top.
Yeah, and I hate to say it, it's great politics. That's exactly what people want to see. Whenever Trump has protesters at his rally, he's always like, go home to mommy, or, and all that. And the people loved it. They eat it up. It's the same thing with Biden. So, I think it's shameful behavior, because I think he should have an answer. This guy isn't a Kremlin talking point. He's a regular Iowan who goes, your son was getting $50,000 a year. Yeah, that's a totally legit question. Don't yell at him and call him fat.
Especially when you're running on your Biden values and you're going to restore integrity, blah, 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 and then you're fat shaming this dude and challenging to a push-up contest.
That's what I said. It's outrageous behavior for the back to normalcy guy. If your whole thing is about restoring civility, back to normalcy, et cetera, then you have to act that way. And his whole thing is about, I'm presidential. I know how to walk down the colonnade with Justin Trudeau, as if we should care about that. But, it's like that. But you know what's not very presidential, so to speak? It's this. You look outrageous.
And you're not going to out-asshole Trump.
No.
You're not going to win in that
Just
category.
Wait,
and look, if you can't handle Julian Castro and you can't handle this
poor
dude,
Iowa guy.
And you're so right to point to the media has done such a disservice by going out of their way to try to cover for him. Absolutely. So he faces no tough questions on it in the primary. And what is he going to do when Trump actually comes at him with this?
Forget it. All right.
Next on Rising. Impeachment has moved on to its next phase as the House begins drafting articles of impeachment.
Congressman Ben Cline, he explains how likely an impeachment vote right before Christmas is, and he shares his thoughts on the hearing so far. That's next.